Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Rice. Senator Fawcett.
Acting Deputy President, I wasn't planning to speak on this bill, but having just heard some of the concerns raised by Senator Rice, I just wanted to make a very brief contribution. Going back to when David Forsyth, not Fawcett, Forsyth, ran the inquiry into Australia's safety regulation for aviation, I worked with the then Minister Truss to actually travel much of Australia and speak at many of the same forums and get feedback from people. And one of the issues that was raised consistently was that there were multiple occurrences where the requirements of CASA were bureaucratically correct but didn't actually have a safety outcome, and in some cases advice was given by CASA to industry which they then didn't follow through from because they had a complete they basically didn't care about the economic impact. An example being somebody who wished to bring an aircraft into the country. It was not the first of type. They approached CASA, did all their due diligence about how long it would take them to bring the aircraft in and get it cleared. They debt funded the aircraft. It arrived and then sat on the tarmac for months because they didn't get the paperwork cleared by CASA because there was no regard for the economic impact of a lack of action on behalf of the regulator. Things like check and training. My own aviation background, 23-odd years with both the military and flying in the civil sector, things like check and training, there are very sensible economies that can be had. For example, as a pilot flying multiple types but a similar category aircraft, a twin-engine aircraft that's rated to fly in instruments, you can do an instrument rating on one complex aircraft and it very comfortably translates to another aircraft in the same category, even if it's a different brand, if you like, of aircraft. And yet I'm hearing from the industry great concerns that CASA are now requiring them to do multiple tests every year on different aircraft types, even though they're in the same category. And so there's things that are not really economically viable for an individual pilot or a company that don't actually contribute to safety in a large way. And I speak from experience with that. So I hear the concerns, but the origin of this amendment goes back a number of years to when there was a very extensive consultation with both operators and pilots and aircraft mechanics, the LAMEs, into how CASA approached their regulation. And so the desire is not to provide an avenue for someone to say, well, we think that's going to lose us some profit, so we're not going to do it, but to actually say, can we achieve the same safety standard and take account of the economics for a small business? That was the intent that came out of the Forsyth Review and the associated discussions, and this has bounced around now for a number of years. I'm very pleased to see that the opposition has been able to work with the government to come up with a form of words that make sure that we keep companies viable, because I've got to say the safest company, or a safe company, is a viable company. A company that's scraping to make ends meet is far more likely to also end up taking shortcuts. So I commend the bill to the House.